Hello, Abraham. I'm excited to be asking you this question. I know it will be helpful to many, including me. This is about changing my past. So to summarize the last 45 years quickly, I grew up in a nice family, and in my early 20s, I started to see them and myself differently in some contrasting ways. So I changed my name and I moved away from family for about 20 years, and I wouldn't speak with them. I had a few people in my life that I now know. I let them be the replacement for my inner being. I know that's not possible. I met you a few years ago, and my life changed. I married my favorite person ever. My job changed, and the list of great things goes on. I reconnected with family. It was the most amazing, loving, wonderful, and uplifting experience. They were so happy. I wonder why I ever left. How I viewed my entire childhood, my parents, my family, and myself was completely different in the best way. Would you please expand on this awesome experience? And why did it take so long? Was that as much my parents' vibration as mine? We're now moving close to them and are going to have plenty of good times. Thank you, Abraham. Your decision to change your name and cut all ties and move away from your family was not only because, as you said, you began to see contrasting differences between you and your family, but it's because that early contrast was causing you to launch all kinds of rockets of desire. And so your vortex was calling you forward into your life that you had been creating. And then as you began understanding more about how the universe works and about your point of attraction, and most of all, about how you are the creator of your own life experience, you began to deliberately change your point of focus. And then your point of attraction changed. Because of the deliberate focus, you then began to let into your life those wonderful things that you've been asking for. Those wonderful things that your 20 years of living with your family had helped you to launch. It's such a satisfying thing. And you experienced it. When you're able to see through your own experience the absolute correlation between what you're asking for and how you're feeling and what's coming to you. In other words, you experienced what we call deliberate creation, and nothing is more satisfying than that. Nothing is more satisfying than deliberately finding alignment by caring about feeling good and then steadily moving forward toward those things and consciously understanding how it is that those things are coming about. And then, and here is really what you're most wanting to understand, you found yourself living a wonderful life that could not have come about had it not been for the contrasting life that you had lived those first 20 years. Those 20 years that launched that desire to begin with. In other words, not only did you find yourself loving the life you had created, your delicious new everything, but you understood the important role that the contrasting part played. That's what we mean when we explain that step one is knowing what you don't want and therefore knowing what you do want. And in that process, launching rockets of desires into your vortex, into your vibrational reality. That's step one, asking for what you want. And then step two, now that you've experienced the contrast and have asked, then source answers. So the cooperative components of the wonderful life that you've asked for come together. They gather in your vortex, and they are the attention of your inner being. That is such a wonderful thing. Your inner being focuses with no contradiction or resistance on your vortex contents. And then the powerful law of attraction assembles all of the cooperative components of your wonderful life. That's what step two is, source answers. And then, as you began listening to what we teach, and you found more ways to focus yourself into feeling better and better, you accomplished step three. You let in what you'd been asking for. Why did it take so long, you ask? Well, because it takes some living of life to personally create your vortex, to know what you do want. Words don't teach, and words don't create your vortex. Your life experience does. And really, it wasn't so long, and absolutely, it was so worth it. So worth the life that you lived to do all of that wonderful asking, yes? And also, it took a while, even though you had been asking. for you to figure out how to focus in a way to let in what you'd been asking for. Was that as much my parents' vibration as mine, you ask? Yes, of course. This is co-creation at its best. They were definitely catalysts to your asking, and therefore they are definitely a part of the wonderful life that you asked for and created and then let happen. And now you've reunited with them. You've come back together with them. All of you knowing at different levels of your being that this really is co-creation at its best. Here's my question. I've always liked my own company. That's what I used to tell people who didn't feel like they wanted to be alone or to do things on their own. I always felt an inner happiness, no matter what. It so happens that after some time, I feel kind of numb. My emotions don't seem to be the way they used to be, you know? I don't want to blame the circumstances, since that's not me. I'd like to find a path of least resistance and flow again within my emotions. Could you tell me how or why we lose this energy in life? Could you help me? It's been difficult to manage time and to make decisions. We want to begin to answer your question by stating that it isn't more appropriate to be able to be happy when you're by yourself than to be happy when you're with others. One or the other is not more appropriate than the other. And in fact, it is possible to be someone who can feel happy and continue to gain momentum on that happiness when you are by yourself. Just like it is possible to be happy and gain momentum on that happiness when you're with others. Sometimes people think that it would be easier to stay in alignment with their own inner being if they were on their own more or by themselves more, because then they wouldn't be tripping over so many things that other people do. And sometimes that's the case. And others think that it's harder to be happy when they're by themselves because they don't have the stimulation or the distraction from others. So there's really no right or wrong here in whether you're by yourself or when you are with others. The most important part of your question is the momentum factor. When you say you feel sort of numb now, what that means is you're not experiencing enough launching of more desires, or you're not moving in the direction of the desires that you already have launched. And we want to say to you that when you're on your own, it is usually that you're not being inspired by your interaction with others, mostly in those step one moments where something about what is going on is bothering you, so you're launching more rockets of desire. In other words, what we're getting at is it's easier to stay more engaged with life, with your life, when you are interacting with others, because the interaction with others stimulates you to more desire. And if something isn't stimulating you to more desire, then you do not continue to summon life through. It's possible to be by yourself and stimulate more desire, and stimulate some desire, we should say. Because, of course, you can find plenty of things to be interested about. You don't have to be with others in order to find things that you want to think about. The most important thing that we are pointing out to you here is that the launching of desires is necessary for the continuation of the summoning of energy to you. And that's that life force that you're talking about. That's the energy and life that you are wondering about and wanting more of. It's interesting to watch our human friends, because when you push against others who are around you, you introduce resistance into your equation. But when you are not with others and their contrasting experience doesn't inspire you to more desire, that's not a good idea either. That life force that you're talking about is about focus. And you can accomplish it whether you're with someone or whether you're just by yourself. And what causes resistance to that energy, and therefore slows down the momentum, can happen when you're by yourself or when you are with another. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would make more decisions in every day. That will get the juices flowing. And when we found a subject that we feel some interest in, we would pursue it just for the sheer pleasure of more juices flowing. You don't need contrast to stay interested in life, but you do need focus to stay interested in life. You said you've always enjoyed your own company. That's a really good thing. It's also a really good thing to enjoy the company of others. There's no one right way to live life. The key is to be sensitive to the way you are feeling, which you are, and to recognize that you like feeling enthusiasm more than you like feeling boredom, or you like feeling enthusiasm more than you like feeling just satisfaction or contentment. Here's my question. While at work, when I am in office meetings, I'm so worried about what they think about me, and I'm trying to make a good impression, but that's not working. I would like to have lots of clarity, confidence, and be in alignment, so much so that whoever's having a bad day when they come into the meeting would have no choice but to become aligned. Why do I want to impress everyone? Why do I not feel good enough? Here's what we'd like you to understand. It never works out very well to care about what others are thinking about you, because you can't control what their perception is. What we mean by that is most of their perception of you had to do with the momentum that they had going even before you were part of their equation. So you take personally things that really aren't about you. So it's a good idea to make a decision that rather than being interested in how people feel about you, that instead you are most interested in how you feel about them. But you're not going to wait until you get to the meeting before you start thinking about how you feel about them. You're going to get those juices flowing before you even get into the meeting. This is what we mean by getting out ahead of it. So you could start in general ways by saying to yourself things like, I really enjoy these get-togethers. I like to be with others. I like to have fun with others. I like to find positive aspects in others. I like the discovery of others. I'm looking forward to being there with them. I'm looking forward to what unfolds as a result of our co-creation with one another. That getting out ahead of it before you've had a chance to react or have a knee-jerk reaction to something causes you to be in alignment. So you walk into the room more aligned. And the more you do that, then the more you are aligned when you walk into a room. You cannot control what others think about anything. You can't control what their life is like, what habits of thought they have, and you certainly cannot control what they're thinking about you in any moment in time. But you can develop absolute control about how you feel about others. And that's really what you're reaching for here. When you ask, why do you want to impress everyone? We really want you to know that it is for a good reason that you want that, because you believe that if they are impressed by you, that they will feel better. Let your desire be that they feel good, and take yourself out of the equation. You are an uplifter to the very core of your being. Mostly we want you to have more fun with all of this. You say, why do I not feel good enough? Because you've been counting on others being stable enough that they could hold you as their object of attention and like what they see. But through your exposure to so many people, you've discovered that you're not central to their attention, and that they're mostly not that practiced at looking for positive aspects. So you can't leave it up to them. You want to do this for yourself. And then in doing it, you will uplift others.